Hi guys, I'm Emily Muchanti and I'm here today to talk to you about a really important component of your reading lab or your reading intervention, and that is progress monitoring. And before I get started, I want to let you know that there's something else that I kind of do to help new teachers, and that is I help them to prep for a reading competency exam called the RECA in California. And I have started a Facebook page called RECA Prep 101. And if you have any new teachers out there that you're familiar with and they're wanting some resources in how to study for this exam, please send them over to Facebook, RECA Prep 101, our Facebook community, and it's where I can give some information and talk to them about some things coming up to help them prepare for the RECA. And, honestly, it's not just California. 13 other states have a reading competency exam. And so if you're in a state that has a reading exam and you have some young teachers, some new teachers, student teachers that are looking for how to prepare, send them over to that Facebook group and we'll try to give them a hand. Okay, so that being said, also, if you are, enjoying these videos and enjoying the conversation, please like this video, share it, subscribe, all of those things. Let me know, what this conversation with intervention where it needs to go in the direction it needs to go. So please do those things and leave a comment. Love to hear what's going on in your reading lab. I'm pretty involved in some Facebook groups, and I am amazed by the brilliance that is out there by so many amazing reading teachers doing the hard work. And so I hope I can add my little bit to that and hopefully help everybody answer some questions or feel like you're part of a community and let's, talk about some tough stuff. Anyway, thank you for that. We are going to get into now the topic of the day, and that is progress monitoring. Now, it is the beginning of March, and we are in another progress monitoring cycle this week. So I want to answer for you and discuss 5 different questions that I get quite often about progress monitoring. So we're going to get right to it. The first one, what is progress monitoring? Well, progress monitoring is a way for a teacher to take a quick snapshot of where that student is in a very quick and efficient manner. So progress monitoring, think about it like taking the pulse on a patient, if you will. You're not doing a full diagnostic. You're just trying to see, are we moving in the right direction? And so it's not to be confused with benchmarks or with diagnostics in any way. Progress monitoring is something that we should be doing very frequently. And so really, second question, why do we do it? Well, we do progress monitoring so that we can see if we have properly matched the instruction to that student's need. If there's been a proper match, then we should expect that the data collected will show improvement in whatever skill it is that student is working in. If we are collecting data and we're still seeing flat progress, then we know there needs to be something changed. So we have students that have traditionally struggled and they have, they're already behind. There's already a gap. And we don't have time to wait for a student to get to the end of the year and take that big benchmark or the SBAC or, one of those high stakes summative tests at the end of the year. We don't have that kind of time. And so what progress monitoring allows us to do is to check our course. Are we on the right course? Are we trying to get that student up incrementally into that target, whatever that may be? And so that's really an important tool and why we use it. So what do we use to progress monitor? Well, there's a lot of different options you can do here. I'll tell you what we do in our reading lab. A universal screener typically is a great way to also measure your progress. And we use Acadience for our universal screener, and we also use it for our progress monitoring tool. Something like that gives you a nice data system where you can plug information in and you can create some really interesting reports and graphs and things that show you where your student is in relation to those end of the year targets that we're trying to get them to. But you don't have to have fancy systems or anything like that. You can still monitor the progress with something as simple as a fluency passage, a 1 minute time, and you can use the Hasbrook-Tyndall norms to kind of let you know, where are they as far as percentile ranks? Are they making progress toward those goals? So a lot of people, you can also use, there's things like Dibbles, EasyCBM, AimsWeb. Those are some common measures or tools that you can use, but some people will take running records and things like that. The thing about the running record is that I would make sure there's some sort of a fluency time to it, because that's a really good indication about automaticity. And when we're listening to a student read, we may think, oh, this sounds great. But if you were to time that student, they may be slightly under where they should be as far as their rate goes. And that can be an indication that we are not automatic and that automaticity and fluency is still a teaching point. So just kind of be careful with that. How often should we progress monitor? So everything that I have read in the research, and I try to keep up with current research and articles and listening to experts and things like that. And the vast majority of what I have read and seen, you should be progress monitoring every 2 to 3 weeks. You don't want to take much longer than that, because then if for any chance you are off course with that instruction and your student isn't making growth, then you've just lost an additional amount of time that you could actually make some changes. So kind of be careful of that. I've even read that some will suggest that for our very, very needy students, our very low students, you may even want to progress monitor about once a week so that you can watch to see if they're making just small little bumps whenever you are doing that. And so we tend to do an every 3 week cycle. Every 2 to 3 week cycle has been, I think, very effective, because another thing is you don't want to jump the gun and make a big giant adjustment based on one data point from your progress monitoring, because we know that data tends to kind of, bump around a little bit. That students may have a little more experience or background knowledge with a certain passage and they do a little bit better. And so we need to have 3 is a good round number. Now for students that I'm considering making some adjustments on, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to wait, 6-8 weeks for that, I will actually up their cycle and do it a little more, maybe once a week, so that I can get those data points to see if what I'm seeing is accurate. So the big question is, what do you do with the data? And we kind of just talked about that. The data is there for you to make adjustments. The idea is, if you know that you have somewhere to go and you know that you have a direct point to get there, you need to make sure you're staying on course. And that's really what the whole point of progress monitoring is. Don't think of any of the data collection that you're doing as something that, oh, I just have to plug this in because my principal wants it. No, it's really valid, valuable information that you're gathering. And we want to make sure that we can best and properly match that student to instruction, to group size, to group dynamic. that we are setting them up for success. And our progress monitoring is what tells us that. It's also really great to have when you are going to your SST meetings, your student study teams, student success teams, or IEP meetings. It might be an initial IEP. You can show, here's what we've been doing in intervention, and here's how the student is responding to it. I will say this for my special ed friends as well, is that wow, progress monitoring is so important for our SPED students as well. Sometimes I think some programs, because we know our SPED friends they're overwhelmed. Just the data, or not the data, the reports and the IEPs and the legalities of that position is pretty hefty. But we got to remember that we're still trying to help these kids with progress. And how do we know that that progress is happening? And that's really through progress monitoring, because oftentimes we have to test out of level. And progress monitoring, you can do that. If you have a student who's a 5th grade reader and they're reading really at a 2nd grade level, then you can progress monitor them at a 2nd grade level. And you can see, are they progressing in that level of text? That is because if you were to progress monitor them at a 5th grade level, more than likely you're not going to see a lot of growth in a very short amount of time. But if you drop that level down, you are then going to be able to see those added increments, and that will still tell you if your instruction is working. So that is what I'm kind of knee deep into right now, and that's progress monitoring. Again, so important for our intervention. We need to know where our kids are at any given moment. We need to know what we can continue to do to help them get where we need to get them. And the most efficient way to do that is through progress monitoring. So let me know how you're doing with your progress monitoring. What are some wins you've had? What are some pain points? I know sometimes it's about the scheduling of progress monitoring, and maybe if anyone asks about that, we can talk about that at a different one. We've got it to a pretty efficient clip now. But yeah, make sure you're doing it, catch those kids where they are and see how it's going, and then share it with your team and celebrate your wins, accept your losses, and make some adjustments. Okay, so remember to like this video, please share, subscribe. Remember, if you have friends that are new teachers and they have a reading competency exam that they have to pass to clear their credential, send them over to my Facebook group, which is RECA Prep 101. That is our Facebook community, and hopefully I can help offer them some resources for that. Okay, that's it for now. Bye now.